Liane, I'd love to start with you. How would you describe a courageous presenter? What does that look like from your perspective?
Oh, cool question. So to me, it's really important to say that courage is not the absence of fear. It's not the absence of anxiety or the absence of discomfort. To me, a courageous presenter, and I think both Mitesh and Janelle have sort of alluded to this in their introductions as well, is somebody who knows that the truth or the message or the connection is so important that it's worth being uncomfortable for. That's somebody courageous. So, once I've been, speaking for a long time, I do it multiple times a week. There's no courage in what I do. Courage to me, what really gets me excited, the people that really cause me to lean in are the people who have a little bit of discomfort, are, anxious, have the butterflies, but they know that the reason that they're communicating or speaking is so important that it's worth going through that to be uncomfortable. When I see somebody courageous like that, you can bet I'm hanging on every word.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And that is so very true. And you're reminding me of a speaker that I saw over a year ago now. And I see a lot of speakers and she still is embedded in my mind. She was one of the keynote speakers on the first day of a very, very large women in tech conference, over 1,000 participants. And I had the honor of introducing her, and I was sitting beside her before I went on stage, and her anxiety I could feel. I mean, it was that high. And so I was just feeling for her. And her talk was very personal. What she did is she shared with the audience her own personal career journey, which had some real lows and some highs. So she was, being really vulnerable and exposing not only her successes, but her missteps. And she never fully overcame that anxiousness. Her body language was kind of closed. The audience was hanging on every word. They were hanging on every word because she was being open, authentic, and giving of herself to help her audience. So I love that. So very true.
Goosebumps as you're telling that story, Carrie.
Oh, it was just incredible. It was really remarkable. That's what we're aspiring to. We're aspiring to what you just described, Liane. And as we talked about already, in order to achieve that level of success, it does take a willingness to step out of our comfort zone, to take some risks, which means we'll inevitably stumble along the way. It's not going to be about perfection, like you say, Janell. So who would be willing to share one of your worst public speaking moments and what you learned from it?
How much time do we have? I'll go. There are I'll share two stories because the first one segues into the second. So I remember this clear as day. When I was an undergraduate student, I had an oral presentation to deliver, and it was in a lecture hall in front of all my peers. And I had really spent a ton of time scripting the content. And if you were to have just read it, it would have probably been an A. And I never talked it out loud, never piloted it out loud, never heard myself say it. So the morning of, I get into that lecture hall, it's my turn to get up at the podium, right? All eyes on me. Literally froze, just completely blacked out, blanked out, could not access the content for the life of me. And it was humiliating. I mean, I can just call it up so easily today. The instructor was so patient with me, and he was really trying to prompt me, take your time, take a deep breath. Nothing. Couldn't get it. I just ended up sitting down. And then fast forward many years later, I went back. I left my my role in television at MTV, and I thought, I want to go back and get my master's. I want to teach interpersonal communication. So I start grad school, and in the second year of my program, I learned that in order to be a graduate teaching associate, I have to teach public speaking for 2 semesters to undergraduate students. And I was like, I am out. Like, no way. This is not what I came here for. But I ended up doing it, and I felt like the biggest imposter ever. And what I realized, the takeaway for me and what I learned from both of these situations, for me, I was really transferring a lot of my performance anxiety from when I danced. I danced for 25 years. And for all of us who have ever played an instrument or performed or athletes, there's a right way to do it, right? There's a right way to do a pirouette. And if you screw it up, you've done it wrong. And I was carrying that over. And I had that mindset about it being a performance. And that was the breakthrough for me. It's not a performance, it's a conversation. And to reinforce what Liane, you said, we're here to be helpful to the audience, to share a message, to inspire, to educate. That's what we're there for. So that was a huge learning for me.
And look at you now.
Looking out now, I coach people how to speak. I would have never in a million years, just true introvert as a kid. So this is, would have never thought I would do this ever. And I've been doing it for 15, 16 years now.
Thank you so much for sharing, and a lot of wisdom there. I also gathered that one of your other lessons learned is just one step of the process is to write that great speech. That's just half the battle, right? The other is to spend a heck of a lot of time practicing it literally out loud.